I sound kind of hollow right here. Like, was that surprising? Hey, I'm Yara Shahidi, and today I'm gonna let ELLE ask me anything. First concert I ever went to, I am pretty sure was a Prince concert. My father was his photographer. I remember his show at the Forum in 2012. I got to go on stage and dance with the twins. That was so exciting, which really set the standard high. I think it's why I love music so much. The person I was most starstruck by, I'd have to say, is Frank Ocean, just because I think he's meant so much to me as an artist. You know, when you meet people that you have so much admiration for that you just kind of stutter to try and figure out, like, what do I say? I went the opposite way when we first met and said no words. My most played song right now, I could actually tell you. 3 Boys by Omar Apollo. That's a great song. When that dropped, I think I just played it on repeat. When I find a song I like, I just play it incessantly. My favorite look I've ever worn on a red carpet would have to be, I have to say Met Gala was such a special one. Very rarely do you get to be such a collaborator in your outfit. I sent him a reference picture and my explanation as to why Josephine Baker made sense for a Dior look as a house that had dressed her during her American tour, and the theme was Americana. And I've always loved fashion, but I think that just took it to another level for me. But it was also just such a fun fashion moment. It had pockets. It had pockets. Huh, what's a fashion regret? Honestly, I have a lot of empathy for young Yara, because even the things that I wouldn't wear now, I'm not mad at her wearing them then. My most irrational fear is of leather booths in restaurants. I will pull up a chair, respectfully. My go-to comfort show. I binge watched Insecure, I think maybe last year, like start to finish, and it's just such a good show. My funniest Grownish memory, I particularly when I was starting Grownish, was definitely more, I wouldn't say like a square, but in the quadrilateral family. And so the only people I'd ever trust to like go out with were my castmates. They just knew me well, I knew I was gonna be taken care of, they just knew my heart. And I remember I was in Paris and Luca goes, hey Yar, you wanna go to a house party? I say, sure. It ends up being a party playing house music. We're at a rave, and I remember going down these stairs at whatever place we were at and the exit disappearing and turning to some random man saying, get me out of here. And he goes, I can't. And that just threw me into a little frenzy. But anyway, it was a great night because as expected, Luca was a real one and looked out for me and made sure I was out and not panicked. Yeah, I love Chloe and Halle. Always love running into them, always love touching base, and I think the fact that this is just such a monumental moment in all of our lives, Chloe and her album and her sold out tour, Halle as Little Mermaid, me as Tinkerbell, it's special to truly grow up with them. I would call in when they were on Radio Disney, so we go way back. One thing I'll always remember about Blackish would be our craft services. We had some of the best snacks in the game. We had like a fresh farmer's market juice truck on standby. So, you know, our snacks of choice were like making acai bowls and drinking our little farmer's market juices or making sandwiches, had every supplement ever. You know, Grownish starts and we're a cable show, different budget. We would hop over to the Blackish set. And I think at one point they had to send out a little memo like, hey, can you stop coming by to steal the food? If I could play any Marvel character, I would play, this is really random, but Nightcrawler. The X-Men cartoon was one of my favorites. When they were all in high school and you had Toad and that whole group that was run by the Scarlet Witch, that was my show. The character I've related to the most has been, this is a good question. My character on Paw Patrol? I played a scientist for about 2 seconds. She was a super nerd and we wore the same type of glasses. Otherwise, if I'm being quite honest, me and Zoe are so polar opposites. I think that's part of the joy of playing her. I really do feel like I'm taking on another persona. The best part about playing Tinkerbell was the fact that it took me back to being 5 years old in my backyard and having to use my imagination to teleport to places I wasn't. My favorite Peter Pan film, that's hard because I mean, like Hook is iconic. I really loved the animated, and then I think the live action with the handsome Peter, I think made an impact and impression on me and all my friends. Being the first Black woman to play Tinkerbell, it's extremely impactful to me to be a part of this larger history. I think for me, as somebody that grew up with fairy tales and fantasy, I know how big of a deal Brandy's Cinderella was to me, how Anika Noni Rose's Princess and the Frog was to me, and I know how that really shaped my imagination, the way I dreamt, the fact that I felt like I belonged in these spaces. And so to be a part of such a large reimagining and to do that for the next generation is really surreal. Industry advice I've gotten from my on-screen parents would be, know your stuff. One thing that was emphasized by Anthony, Tracy, and Kenya was that they came to set prepared every day. And so they really led by example. The reason that they were able to improvise and create such funny moments is because they started by knowing what they were supposed to do. And I think having that work ethic really helped me through Grownish because I just kind of came with that level of preparation. One thing people would be surprised to know about me would be, I sound kind of hollow right here. Like, was that surprising? Most embarrassing thing that's happened to me on set? Oh, you know what always makes me laugh? So I'm so much shorter than Trevor, and we have these scenes because, characters are in a relationship, and they're always dancing, but I always make the mistake of grabbing him by the waist, so there's always like a really funny moment, just because I'm like, that's what's closest to me. I think we've yet to really hit our stride. The wildest thing I've ever read about myself. One of my favorite things that people say is that me, Gigi Hadid, and Tavi Jevinson have very similar voices. And so whenever we do voiceover stuff, people can't figure out which one of us it is. That was not me in Scooby-Doo. If I had to cast someone to play me in the movie about my life, I would cast both of my brothers to play me because they know me so well. It is the funniest thing because they have all of my little isms down too. I didn't realize I say so many things twice, which, like a good hello is common. I do a lot of like, hey, lovely people. I apparently start all my sentences or stories like, when I tell you. But they know me so well that I would love to see them take on the role. And I know they're more than capable. Thanks for hanging out with me, and don't forget to watch Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney+.